Hi everyone, so the video health tip this week is actually going to be some healthy, non-inflammatory cooking, and we're going to make some really good treats. So one of my favorite junk foods is actually Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and so we're going to make a healthy version of the peanut butter cup. So we're going to have a number of different ingredients. I'm going to show you why we're using certain things, the alternatives, what's healthy about them. So to start off with, we're going to be using raw cacao. So I'm using David Wolf's organic raw cacao, but you could get any kind of organic raw cacao powder, basically. So I'm using just a little bit less than a quarter cup, and the reason for that is just raw cacao in the recipe will make the dark chocolate pretty bitter. It's just pretty strong. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of carob powder to that. That's about a teaspoon of carob powder. So putting them together, the carob powder just takes a bit of the edge off the raw cacao. So I'm going to put in the cacao here. The base for this is going to be one of our healthiest fats, which we're actually going to be using raw organic coconut oil. So I'm going to be using a quarter cup, any kind of raw organic coconut oil you can come up with. So I'm going to just use the quarter cup again. So we're going to add in a quarter cup of coconut oil. So coconut oil is probably the healthiest saturated fat that you can put in your body. And as I always tell people in my nutrition workshops and things, eating fat does not make you fat. And if you're having the right types of fats, it's actually very, very good for you, anti-inflammatory, and this kind of saturated fat is extremely beneficial. So coconut oil, olive oil, those are the two top ones that we usually like to use in our cooking, but obviously for this we're going to be using coconut oil. Now as far as how do we sweeten this part of it, so stevia, I'm going to use an actual raw kind of stevia here. This is an organic stevia that's green. It's right from the source. Some stevias are kind of processed to make it white. This one is a powdered one that I've used, and it's actually just organic stevia basically. So I'm just going to add about like a teaspoon of that, because what happens is you can't use stevia for the whole thing, because then it's a weird kind of funky sweetness. It's kind of sour sometimes. So I just use this so that I can add less of the other kind of sweetener. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this, maybe like half a teaspoon, maybe even less, I don't know, I just added some stevia in there. So that green stuff is the raw organic stevia. So that's going to add some sweetness, but the other sweetener could be one of two things. My favorite sugar alternative is something called monk fruit, or low hengo. 0 calorie, doesn't have any impact on your glycemic index. But I found when I try to make this recipe, it doesn't, it stays a little granular, and you would actually have to probably heat up the coconut oil and try to dissolve that first. So you would actually just use the coconut oil and putting in maybe about 3 teaspoons or I actually say a few tablespoons of this, and I would actually whip that up to melt it. But in this case, as an alternative, because that would take a little bit of time to make it simpler, I'm actually just going to use some organic raw maple syrup, actually. So this is, I think I used about a tablespoon here. So this is the maple syrup, so this is the additional sweetener that we're going to make to sweeten up the cacao. So this is all we need for the chocolate. So there's our chocolate. Now if you want to take a little bit more of the bite off of this, you might actually want to add a little bit of unsweetened almond milk. So you could add that as well, just to kind of make it like chocolate milk sort of thing. So that could be helpful too, but I'm actually going to go pretty raw with this one, a little straightforward. So that's the chocolate part. So I'm just going to use, oh by the way, I'm actually going to add this as well. This is French vanilla stevia liquid. I'm just going to add a couple of drops of this as well. It's sweet, but it also takes a bit of the edge off the bitterness of the raw cacao as well. So that's my chocolate mixture there. These are my little mini muffin things. I actually like these silicone ones, because paper ones, they actually would stick to the cacao and it's hard to peel them off. But these ones, you just peel them and it doesn't stick to it. So this amount that I've made so far will probably make about 6 of these peanut butter cups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this chocolate and just fill the bottom, maybe about the bottom third. Now is actually put this in the freezer. So I'm going to freeze this for about 5 minutes. That's all it takes. So when you put it in, make sure it's level when you put it in the freezer. While I have that in the freezer, I'm going to prepare the inside, the peanut butter part. So this is going to go in the freezer. Try to make sure that was fairly level. So now I'm going to do the filling. So what I did here, this is going to be inside the peanut butter cup. So I'm not actually going to use peanut butter. I'm going to use something much healthier. This is this is called Sun Butter, and this is actually sunflower seed spread. So it's a very, very healthy fat and protein source. Much better than peanuts, because peanuts usually have a lot of aflatoxins and other kind of things that you don't want, and peanut butter is not quite the best thing. And so this seed butter is actually very good, and I'm going to use a crunchy one because I like crunchy peanut butter cups. So I could just use this as the filling, but I'm actually going to add something else that'll add a little bit of extra good healthy fats to it. So in Canada, you can get these at most grocery stores. I got this at like Fortino's or Longo's. This is called the Rolling Meadow Dairy, and this is actually, you can't really read it now because we've destroyed it all, but this is actually grass-fed butter. So grass-fed butter is what you want to be getting. So the reason why is that cows are actually supposed to eat grass, and when they eat grass, they kind of produce a lot of good healthy fats, and the omega ratios are very, very healthy in them. And they also make something called CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid, which is very important. That helps you burn fat as well. So a lot of the bad stuff that everyone's trying to avoid is actually very good for you. So this is a very good healthy fat to be putting in something, so I'm going to add this in here. So there's going to be a lot of fat in this chocolate bomb sort of thing. So I just added maybe, I don't know, like a little slice. So I'd say maybe that's about like a teaspoon and a half or something of this butter. And then just measurement amount, I'm just going to maybe dollop it that amount. I'm just going to use this to mix it. So we'll see if 5 minutes have passed, and we're going to go grab our base again. Okay, we're back. So it's only been about 5 minutes, and the bottom is actually already hardened. So we just had it about 5 minutes in the freezer, so that's a good base. Now, if you wanted to make this is actually, it's pretty warm out right now inside the house, so this is kind of liquidy. If you actually put this in the fridge, it would actually stay more like a central dollop in the middle. This is kind of spreading out a little bit. It's spreading out a little more than I would like it, but normally I would like it sort of just like a little circular thing in the middle, and you would be able to see like the chocolate rim around that center part. So now we're just going to put this chocolate back on top of it. So we're just going to cover those up. So the biggest problem we have when we make these, and we're trying to bring it to people at our workshop, is that we always eat them all the time. They always end up getting eaten one after the other by the family members, and we don't have enough, and we have to keep making more. But that's good. We made to make about 6 of these, which is basically what we wanted. All that's going to happen, this is going to go back in the freezer again. We're going to freeze it. After it's frozen, it can be in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Then after that, you can take them out and just put them in the fridge and save them in the fridge, and they stay that way. If you're making something very healthy, obviously the stuff that's on your store shelves, if it's made out of real chocolate, it would be melting and stuff. So you obviously, it's full of chemicals and stuff to keep it solid that way. But this being real food, you have to keep it in the fridge so that it's not going to melt and make a mess. And the end product more or less looks something like that. So with the silicone, you can just peel it and you're ready to eat. So it's pretty good. So let's have a look at this one. So there it is. Chocolate on the outside, the nut butter's on the inside, and it tastes pretty darn good. So there's your healthy, sweet alternative. That's your health tip for this week. And the people that came to my Chocoholics workshop, of course, they got this at the end of it. Whereas if you're in the Chocoholics workshop, you're going to get these in a minute. So let's have fun. Eat healthy, and we'll see you next week. Bye.